KRM Beach Office 55021, city number 22. We will make our movement today, considering the effort that we are doing, and we will make a review quite simple, quite clear. Observing at first that we had a model, I'd say a benchmark, a security model, which is used on United States, and it's basically considering circles of protection. And you can, in general, it, it's used to protect the president, but in the same way to protect relevant circles on your society, which has, at least in Brazilian constitution, in America and in West, the family as the basic cell of society as organization. And inside the family, you have in general individuals. When you had a system of created or set for oppression, intimidation, and abuses, and have they continue despite all complaints, by obviously will impact in the very first moment the individual, and in a second moment the family or the families, and then the society and the state. We are living this in some areas on West, and it's not only in Brazil. We will check that this model is like this. The President of the United States, and then we have a circle of protection very close to him, and another one here in the same way, and another one a bit more distant, but very functional in the same way and having connections with other circles of protection around the globe, which sometimes is based on self-protection and self-defense, but with relevant asset as information to be shared and improve the defensive system in global scale. But this is a model based on paradigm. And of course, that if you have the corruption on your institution, the protection will be replaced by the corruption of the families, which it has an individual in the center. But to achieve the families and the individual, you must have the corruption of the society and at first the corruption of the state, a root cause presenting as corruption of the state, as institutions divided and democratic and defense institution which puts ourselves inside the security system. And of course, that when we have this, the disgrace is something that you set little by little, but that this case is, entirely fitted and present. And when this kind of organization turn a model with a culture and behavior, sometimes sustained by the high command of the military force, the government, that is subcultural, the corruption, or the drug use, or still the public budget and treasury. Things are weird, for sure. And during the COVID thing, we had a large number of death events. And each death event has a situation linked with which is the heritage procedure, and by obvious with fake data, especially made on public departments not only in Brazil, you are having a model very risky in global scale, especially on West, which is against the constitution as family by the material and immaterial values. In other ways, you are having the big risk as still the property of individual citizens and families based on death events, which can go in a utilitarian way, and the instrumental level as registries to transfer the property and put things with no owner, like heritage with no owner. This kind of thing is uh, a new design from the covenant thing. I mean, it's one of the consequences of this covenant thing impacting the organization of society, especially the Western society. The second thing that we will have in mind is that we have this book. It's available on the digital space, on e-commerce, named Red Cocaine. It's about how the drug have the, can disorganize the Western society. We are living this. Before the COVID-19, we had a large number as drug events and incidents. And some authorities during this period, authorities and ex-president or whatever, have in the speech in the very beginning of COVID-19 that cocaine will help, to have the cure at the COVID-19. Of course, that we must, have questions about this, especially considering the environment and the conjuncture with this kind of argument. Because the drug creates a dependence, there are no freedom. It's a prison without bars. And will disorganize at first your finances, then your family circle, then your entire society. And in the end, the state will be will have no capacity as responsiveness. But to get the state as something without capacity as responsiveness, the state has a failure at first which allowed the continuity of risk that got the individuals and families and then the society to have the state. It means that your circle of protection had an empty space here, which is a broken window that affects the society, the family, the individual. That will, in the same way, be at your institution or company or something like this with drug dependence. And sometimes this individual will have decision impacting a global environment or an entire continent if it's a global company or the environment as a ministry of economy or something like this. And of course that by the dependence will have, you know, this space uh, got getting the ground at your environment. And of course, that if this goes in other areas, we will have the connection by gaps. And indeed, this was presented at logical gaps. And those logical gaps have a curious thing, which is the violation as death cause and considering the civil rights and the conformity with heritage procedures associated with. We will consider this is not about a new drug as Cloud9 or whatever, because indeed the Cloud9 had the on the show during the Olympics in Rio de Janeiro and before on 14. It's something that is beyond this because indeed we have structures of failures integrated with elements as elements which can prepare organizations going inside as a deeper level or something that's presented on present time, like cryptocurrency, and others, clandestine types like deep web as communication. But you know, having kind of the mobilization and organization of those elements that indeed are exposed on present time to create a perception as a strategy. I mean, you had the failure in the very first moment as operational organization of clandestine resource setting structures in general by the financial, cryptocurrency, and deep web as communication to physiological aspects inside our organization, but this time clandestine organization. And now those logical gaps, which goes even on institution plus public or corporate, national or international, plus the immigration of modifier data and considering the violation of civil rights, which is the area when you got this by the associative, you know, relational association, which indeed is a causality as the heritage procedure, the strategic level. What do you think? Do you consider fair, open an investigation about this, Federal Bureau of Investigation USA and Interpol, and maybe the NATO? Will finish here? And unfortunately, our local area, Brazil, especially those cities that had problems, are kind of having a contest and challenge my research. I will talk one more time. I'm not gonna lose my object and my core, interest by your minor purpose at the center. Have a good night.